In this episode of Man vs. Marriage, we're continuing on with thinking about what you're thinking about. Practical application, living life on purpose for a purpose, and mastering those tools of thinking.
The podcast. How good do you want your life to be?
You gotta live on purpose for a purpose.
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible. This is Man vs. Marriage, the podcast.
And welcome to another episode of Man vs. Marriage. It is me, the cute dog, in the studio with
Coach Rita.
Coach Rita in the house. And hey, it is an exciting time because we've been talking about thinking about what you're thinking about, the reason it matters so much, the why to change that, and now what is your willingness to do it? Because really you got to identify. In life, in life I hear all the time, I can't, because that's just the way that I am. But today we're not interested in what you can't do. We're simply interested in what you're willing to do.
Yes.
So we're going to talk first, and I'm going to hand it right over to Coach Rita to talk about some practical applications in this why and how it relates to thinking or what your why is. Take it away, Coach Rita.
Hello. Glad to be back with you guys. I hope you are enjoying the episodes, and we're just going to keep going and digging a little bit deeper with you guys and giving you some practical applications, because I think that's so important. That we could give you tons and tons of stuff, tons of tools, tons of knowledge and insight, but if we don't make it practical for you, we lose sight of what it is that we're doing. So it's coming back to the why. It's coming back to, how it is that you think, what it is that you're creating. If what it is that you want, can you create a why out of that? And once you have discovered the why, like you've discovered the way that you're thinking and you're changing that way of how you're thinking, how you see things, how you see yourself, the narrative that you're putting out there every day. And you've discovered, okay, I need to change some of this. And this is why. This is why I need to change my thinking, because the outcome, if I keep going down this road, it's going to come to a really bad spot. So we want to adjust all of that. And in your why and discovering your why, the most important thing to do is to keep the why in front of you every single day.
True.
If you just get a little post note and you write your why down and you keep it in front where you brush your teeth, where you get ready in the morning, where you shave, or you could, when you're commuters, all you commuter gentlemen out there, you could put it on your, where your steering wheel, your radio, the speedometer, you pick wherever you're going to want to put that Post-it to keep it in front of your face, because that's going to be the motivator. That's the practical part of this. Is going to be the motivator to remind you every single day why you're doing what you're doing and why you're applying these applications, because it's the outcome that you want. So it could be, just changing your thinking. You're putting that why out there, and that helps you in the way that you're going to think for the day. Because if you have it focused, this is who I am, this is what I want, that's what you're going to be thinking about. So that is a very easy thing that you could do right off the bat, because everybody has a pen and everybody has a piece of paper. And so it will keep you focused. The next thing you need to do is, if you have your why, if you know what it is that you want and you know what it is your why is, you got to learn about it. You got to learn about, let me give you an example. Say your why, let's use it in a marriage. Let's say your why is that your wife or your partner that both of you are just so connected emotionally, physically, spiritually, in such a deeper level. That's your why. So, what skills, what knowledge, what learning do you have to apply that to get you there?
Come on.
So, if we're going to say this is my why because I want to have this deep connection with my wife, then you need to look up, how do I become a good communicator? How do I become a good listener? You could go back on some of our podcasts and it will help you out back there.
Very
the
true.
ones that we've did in the beginnings, I think they're like around 20 something, I want to say. No, maybe in the teens. But if you go back, there's a great episode about how to be a good listener. Very practical information about being a communicator, because communicator isn't really all about communicating. It's more about listening. So what skills do you need to obtain to create your why? You start applying that knowledge and what it is that you need to do. I think a lot of us, if I use that example of you wanting to be connected on a deeper level, then what is it going to take in order for you to get there? Like I've said before in the past episodes, you cannot think that this is just going to happen organically.
So true.
Sorry, it's not. It's what you're going to apply. What you're going to put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So that's a very, very practical application that you could apply on a daily basis. Is put a note and start figuring out what skills you need to obtain in order to get the why that you're wanting. I know the next thing was living on purpose for a purpose. Quincy is huge. This is like his mantra of you have to do this. And he's said this so many times to Jeannie and us sitting together and just talking about their marriage, talking about their relationship. It's like he's so purpose driven. And I think most men are. So why don't you share just practical applications, how you go about it's really living life purposefully.
Purposefully is correct.
That's a big word. And so I just want you to share, like, how do you go about doing that? What does that look like? Like, what can you apply to that? That's very practical.
Yeah, and that is a great question. To bounce back real quick, if you want to learn, just for your example, about becoming a better listener, go to episode 8 and episode 9. I don't know it, but I went back and looked, and it says episode 8, becoming a better listener, and then episode 9, becoming a better listener, part 2. So we actually gave you 2 great episodes in some really good detail as well about what it means to be a better listener and about communication.
Right.
Because like you said, communication doesn't mean you're a great speaker.
Right.
Communicating is about listening.
Mm-hmm.
It's about knowing what the person in front of you is saying, and if you don't understand that, ask some questions. But we'll definitely dive deeper into that in some future episodes because we're really getting deep into thinking. And when you ask me, Coach Rita, what is living on purpose for a purpose about? And here's where it is for me. You have to have, I hate to say that because when people tell me I have to or I must, I had to have a reason. I had to have a purpose behind the way I was changing my life because life screams so loud. And up until the point where I had started coaching, I was not living on purpose. I was allowing life to dictate terms to me and how I went about my business and how I went about thinking and how I went about responding and how I allowed chaos to dictate terms to me. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? Once I got into this, it's like I can either continue to allow life to direct me or I can become the captain of this ship. And I can start sailing it in such a way or in such a direction where it matters, and it's for a reason.
Right.
So what I had to determine, what I have to do, is I have to remember that I can only focus on those things I can affect, control what I can control. Everything else that's outside of my control, if I try to control those things, it's just wasted resources.
Right.
So I have to have a purpose in what I'm doing. I have to have a purpose in how I'm acting. I have to have a purpose in how I'm listening, how I'm communicating, and I want to do it on purpose.
Right.
I don't want to just do these things out of happenstance or coincidence. I want to be very purposeful about my life because I believe that gives your life meaning. So if you take control of those things and you begin to decide, you know what, in just a brief conversation with yourself, if things get out of control or chaos ensues in a conversation, I'm going to bring peace into it. I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to put my weapons away. I'm going to be peaceful, and I'm just going to listen. I don't have to react right away. I'm going to respond. It's being more calculated
Right.
in how you go about communicating. But I had to come, it's like it goes so hand in glove with the why of the whole mission. And the why, when you know what you're doing and you know what the purpose is behind these things that you're doing, then nothing will be able to stop you. It's like that quote you made from Nietzsche. If you have the why, there's no how that can conquer you.
Right.
And like for me, and one of the things that you were saying, like, in the last episode about checklists and all this, I went through the checklist. And when it came to quality time, I took Jeannie to the movies every week. Every week. Because this is what she wanted. But it was my version. It wasn't hers.
Right.
I wasn't considerate enough. I wouldn't say I wasn't considerate enough. I just didn't know enough at the time to say, what does this look like to you? Because it matters. Give me the playbook. And that's one of the aspects of my life for living on purpose, for a purpose, because I want to do for you what makes you feel loved, adored, and full.
Right.
That's what I want to do. As much as an outside entity can do that, I want to do that for you because you are what matters to me. So I want to do these things on purpose, for the purpose of being a loving, fulfilling husband to my wife, best friend to my wife. And recently we've had a rub between us regarding a situation. And it's like, honey, I don't think you're looking at me through the eyes of I'm your best friend, your biggest cheerleader, the person that roots for you the most in this situation. I think you're stuck somewhere, looking at me through a different lens. Now, had I not lived my life and developed my life and seek out skills to become better at this, I would have just given her what she gave me, a reaction for a reaction. And all that does is create sparks, and sparks create fire, and fire creates big time problems.
Yep.
It creates a lot of pain and a lot of damage, and some damage that you cannot repair. So it takes living your life in such a way where you're methodical about what you do. And I'm not saying there'll never be those times where you just do things on a whim, but I'm talking about how you personally structure yourself and what the purpose is behind it, what the legacy is that I want to leave for my children, and why I push them to be better than they think, while I hold them accountable. When they fail, I pick them up, dust them off, pat them on the back, kiss them on the cheek. And just to maintain that you've got to live your life on purpose and for a purpose, and you have got to define. Okay, let me backtrack. I had to define what that was. No one can do that for you. It's a must that you do that for yourself.
Right.
And we are giving you. That's where Coach Rita's talking about. What are the skills? What are the skills that you're going to, don't rely on your spouse to go figure out these skills for you. Focus on what you can affect, control what you can control. And what is that? That's your actions.
Right.
That's your time. That's your attention. Where are you going to focus those things? Don't leave it up to us. You need to become the expert in you.
Right.
You have to go. Here I go again.
You have to.
I had to become the expert in me, and I had to sink myself into redefining who I was. And I couldn't do it on my own. I had to go outside of myself to hear what these other people did and how they transformed their walk and how they transformed their situation and what their purpose for life was, so that I could readily identify that within me.
Right.
And I could give my wife what she deserves, which is the absolute best version of myself that's available. And then in those moments of vulnerability where I feel like I need her to have my back, she's there, because we've created that.
Right.
We've done that on purpose. That's my elevator speech. Of course, that's a tall
Great.
building, but that's my elevator speech on living on purpose for a purpose.
I think that's perfect. I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of times when you say that, living on purpose for a purpose, it's like, it's your why.
Totally.
And it's your why. It's why you're doing this. It's the whole reason, and you're doing it on purpose to
right.
create the why.
That's right.
So I think it's very that was very good. Thanks, Quincy, for sharing that. I appreciate that. And it really is a self-discovery, because you and I both can't put the why on people. People are going to have to figure that out for themselves.
That's right.
All we could do is present it to you and say, this really does work. It really does keep you focused. It really does give you a meaning and a goal, that you're just not going through life day to day and just, having life live you, and you're just dealing with the next crisis that's coming your way.
That's right.
So you're doing it on purpose. So
And
I think that's great.
I think, too, if you decide to do that, you start eliminating all the excuses of why you can't.
Right.
And that's very, very important. I could give you any number of excuses why I couldn't have become a better man or a better friend, a better father, a better husband, a better employee. But that's all they would be.
Right.
Everybody has life going on.
Everybody does.
And I'm not being insensitive to whatever your current situation is, but everybody has life going on. It's how you respond when life confronts you.
Exactly.
It's how you respond in the moment, and what decisions you've made to say, I cannot act this way because I have dedicated myself to living on purpose.
Right.
And I know what the purpose is behind what I'm doing. I now have my why and why I have to continue. Now it all comes down to, are you willing?
Right.
Don't tell me what you can't do. I just want to know if you're willing to do it, and we can work with the will.
Right. Right. I want to share this. I listened to, it's called Rise Together. It's a podcast with Rachel Hollis and her husband, Dave Hollis. If you tune into them, they're phenomenal. Rachel Hollis is like, I'm a big time fan of hers. She just released a new book, Girl Stop Apologizing. And another book that she wrote was Girl Go Wash Your Face. I know men, this has to do with women, but my point is, her husband and her do this podcast together. It's Rise Together. And it's just phenomenal. I would recommend it. Those of you that I'm saying, get out there, get some knowledge, get some insight, not only with our podcast, go to other couple podcasts that they're teaching and giving you really great stuff.
Absolutely.
And one thing that was a takeaway from me that she explained, I say all of that to say this, is that we can't control life. We can't control what's happening in life, circumstances, whatever's coming our way. The thing that we can control and that can be very empowering in those moments is our attitude and our effort.
Come on, preach it, preacher.
And it is so true when you look at that. I might not be able to control what is going on in life and things that are coming my way, but by God, I can control how I'm going to respond to that, my attitude towards it and the effort that I'm willing to put towards what I
Yes,
need
come on,
to
Rita.
change.
Come on.
And I think that is so powerful if you look at that and you understand that I can't change my husband, but boy, can I change my attitude towards him. Boy, can I change the effort that I'm going to put into this marriage. Those are all choices that you get to choose on a daily basis on how it is that you're going to show up. So I just put that out there for whatever it's worth, but I think it was a great tool that they gave you. You know what? You are right. I can't control everything, but what I can control is my attitude and my effort. So check
Absolutely.
yourself.
And that's big for me too, and I thank you for bringing that out. I am so big on just focusing on what you can affect.
Yes.
You're just not able to do. There's too many variables otherwise.
Way too many.
And if you're the kind of person, listen here, buddy. If you're the kind of person that when a new idea is presented and you come up with 5 reasons why it can't
not?
be done, you've got stinking thinking.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
Because you have left yourself, you've left yourself in the past and you're limited by the way you think. Do yourself a favor and change that stinking thinking. I want to say something real quick, Coach Rita, that kind of relates to what you said in the beginning. This is a lot of work. Okay, this is a lot of work. It is the most rewarding work you can do in your life. It's a lot of work. But Jim Rohn has this quote, and his quote, I'm going to paraphrase it, okay? But it goes something like this. If you think the cost is too high to change, wait till they write you the bill for not changing.
Ooh.
Boo yow. I don't know how he came up with all this stuff, but that rings in my mind,
So true.
And I'm going to tell you this. This is another little nugget that's off script because we're not really scripted anyway. But Tony Robbins is the master when it comes to changing your mind. I have learned so much from him and his books, and he teaches you how to make decisions. His mentor was Jim Rohn. I used to always get Jim Rohn mixed up with Jim Rome, the sports caster.
Yeah.
That guy's hilarious. At any rate, Tony Robbins' mentor was Jim Rohn, and that's where he just took and he built upon what Jim Rohn did, and now he changes lives dramatically. But he really, like, as far as the skills and the resources, look up some Tony Robbins things. No matter what your perception of him is, this guy, I know people who know him personally, this guy's heart is for people. His heart is for people. Yeah, he's ultra wealthy. He's got gazillions of dollars. I think he owns his own island. But that doesn't matter. He knows what it's like to be broke, destitute, desperate, and in a bachelor size apartment, like a studio size apartment, that I think was hard for him to turn around in.
Yeah.
He knows what it's like to be there, and his heart is for people. So dive into some of his material, and he will help you. He has his own podcast where we listen to, Coach Rita recommended us listen to him and Michael Phelps. Great podcast to listen to. Great podcast. So we give you Ed Milet, Rachel Hollis. We give you Tony Robbins. I think not Jim Rome. I think Joe Rogan has a fantastic podcast that stretches your mind to think as far as perspective, giving you different pieces of perspective to challenge your thinking.
And I think Dr. Joe Dispenza, Dr. Caroline Leaf, huge people on your thinking. They're what are those? Oh my gosh, it escaped me. The people that know your brain.
Neuroscientist?
Yes. Oh my gosh, amazing people. They both have podcasts, and it will help you understand why you think the way that you think and the power of your thinking. I mean, we're throwing out so much stuff to you guys. And if you don't take the opportunity to seize the moment, it will pass you.
It'll pass you by.
And 5 years later, you'll be right back here and thinking to yourself, why didn't I just listen and do what it is and apply what it is that I need to apply?
Right.
It's not easy, but it's so worth it. I mean, both of us cannot express that because we know where we've come from. Same with Tony Robbins. Yes, he makes a bazillion money, but he never forgets where he's come from.
Ever.
And he so gives so much of who he is, not only of who he is personally, but financially and things that he believes in. And he never, ever forgets where he comes from. And I'm so right there with him. I don't forget where I've came from.
That's right.
It helps you. It grounds you. It makes you understand. And it helps you understand, like the listeners out there, I know it's hard. I know change is hard. I know being in a predicament in your marriage sucks big time. But I know there's hope.
There is.
And I know there's a way. And that's what, that's the thing that we want to focus on. So like to finish up on the last point that we wanted to make about mastering the tools for
of thinking.
It's so many times we overthink things than we never do it.
True.
So many times. I don't know sometimes if I don't want to be
just be it. If you are, we'll apologize later.
Yes,
but just
I'll
put it
just
out. Say it
apologize
ugly.
up front.
Just say
I
it
don't
ugly.
know if men are more like this or women more like this. It's like, I guess we both can be this way, that we overthink things and then we never do anything because we've so overthought it and we've talked ourselves out of it that we don't push ourselves out of that thinking.
I think they call it paralysis by analysis.
Oh, that's a good, that's very true. So what we end up doing is nothing.
That's right.
And then, it always goes back to then we wonder why where we're at and never really stopping to take responsibility to say, I overthought it. Like I keep overthinking things. And you just kind of like, just give yourself a little bit of leeway and help yourself through this.
Yes.
Help yourself get through it. We take so much, time and effort in the thought of change and the thought of going through the process. We put so much weight on the work of it that we just disqualify ourselves right off the bat.
Right off the bat. You're so right.
We just say, okay, that's just too much. Let's just stay here. I'm okay. I'm good. She's good. Nothing needs to change.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Hey, why bother it?
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel? But it's having that kind of thinking keeps you stuck in the state that you're in.
That's right.
So it's just challenging yourself that I got to get beyond this thinking, quit overthinking things, quit giving, like what you said, the excuses of the reasons why I can't or don't want to change. If anything, go back and listen to the last episode about if you don't change, what's going to happen.
That's right.
What is the outcome? I think that, I think a lot of times too is when we're changing our thinking when it comes to our marriage and we're trying to bring something new in the way that we think, the way that we're going to operate, the way that we're going to present ourselves, the way that we're going to show up. The first thought that sometimes comes through our mind is, what is she going to think?
Yeah.
Like, what is she going to think? Like, if I do this and you know that she'll like this, what is she going to think? So it's almost like we just keep disqualifying ourselves. We keep disqualifying ourselves before we even get out of the gate.
That's right.
Just do it. Just take that courage, take that step and just do it. It's like I said in the past episodes, it's allowing yourself not to live out of your head, to live from your heart. And I know so many times that is so hard to do. Go back and examine your thoughts. Go back to the episode that we did a few episodes back about your thought, about if the narrative is serving you. Go back and re-listen to that one. Is it serving you? You get to determine that. We can't determine that.
Right.
You get to.
That's right.
Is that the outcome you want? You make and you determine that. I'm just going to leave you with this. Have you allowed your thoughts to dictate to you more times than not that you believe that your thoughts are true and really they're not? They're more so lies. They're more so, oh my gosh.
I love the panic. We set a timer to keep ourselves on task so that Ashley would be proud of us.
And I didn't know my sound was on.
When you are using your iPad.
Before, now I use my phone.
Yeah, your iPad
So
died, so
sorry
use your
about
phone.
that.
I love it. I loved it because at 54 seconds, you looked at me like,
Like, we got to hurry up and wrap this up.
That's okay. We got time. We'll finish it up right after this. Go ahead.
So I just want you to focus on the thoughts that you have. Are they really true? Like, are they true? Or are they just lies that want to put you down, to shame you, to feel like you're not, like you don't add up, like you're falling short? It's like, you got to do away with that kind of thinking.
You've got to.
Because if you want to change, that kind of thinking isn't going to serve you. It's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form to move forward in life. So I just want to challenge you when you're thinking about what you're thinking about, is if those things are not helping you move forward in growth, in learning, you got to do away with them. And you got to grab something that can serve you, that can help you in your personal growth and your personal development.
Yep. And I like to sum things up, and I'll do it so it's an easy reminder to me. So I would say this, the 2 S's, your thoughts, are they serving you or sabotaging you?
Good point.
That's the question you need to ask. That's the question I had to ask myself. I'm trying to do that less and less, where I'm saying you need to, you have to.
I know.
But are they serving you or sabotaging you? You can make that decision. And when you come up against a thought that's sabotaging you, that you think you cannot change, I'm just asking you to say this inside, or even say it out loud. Okay, I can't do it, but what am I willing to do?
Right.
What am I willing to do? Because overall, what do I want? If you can just do that a little bit at a time, you're going to see your life change dramatically.
Yes.
And I want to encourage you, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. What a great episode.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. I love that your phone went off.
Sorry about that.
I wished whenever you saw 54 seconds, you're like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, I have so much to say.
I wish you would have said it out loud, because people just, I can't wait for them to get to know more and more of your personality. Because you're a firecracker, man. It's a lot of fun. Coach Rita is so much fun.
Thank you.
All right. Well, hey, reach out to us, guys. And real quick. I want to say what's up to all the ladies listening to our podcast.
Oh, yes.
Too.
More and more.
There are lady after lady. There are so many women listening to this podcast. I honor you.
Yes.
One person I want to mention by first name only. Her name is Alex. She is out speaking the gospel of man versus marriage.
Oh.
And I just talked to somebody the other day, another lady that said, hey, I'm listening to your podcast. And I got a little starstruck in the moment. I was like, wow, I am so honored that people would listen to what we have to say. Mm-hmm. And I just hope that it's making a positive impact on your life, because it's what I live for. Mm-hmm. It's what I live for, to leave you a better person than when I met you. So Alex J., I want to say thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Kudos to you.
That's right. Thank you for speaking that man versus marriage language. And I'm so proud of you and the changes that you're making. So keep it up. You go, girl. All right. So reach out to us, guys and gals, at coach@manvsmarriagepodcast.com. That's coach@man, V like victory, S like success. Marriage. No, I messed up. Man versus marriage podcast. Yep, that's it. Coach@manvsmarriagepodcast.com. Perfect. I got to write it down someday. Someday I'm going to write it down so I can just read it.
Someday we'll get a time clock that doesn't go off.
We earned that one. Hey, then guess what you could do? You could reach out to us on Facebook. Connect with us there. It's about connecting. It's about getting to know one another. At VSM Podcast. That's where we're at on Facebook. Come check us out. All right, Coach Rita, sign us off.
Goodbye. Until next time. Look forward to seeing you. Well, not really, but yeah.
We can see you.
The podcast.
How good do you want your life to be?
It's truly about becoming the best version of yourself that's possible.
This is Man vs. Marriage.
The podcast.